So to this evening's event, I'm really delighted to welcome Baroness Caterina de Rensis Sonnino and some of her family who are here this evening to tell us a lot about the really interesting and deep history of their family and their castle on the edges of Montespertoli to the south of Florence, Castello Sonnino. And it also marks the beginning of a special partnership between the British Institute of Florence and Castello Sonnino, because we're going to be serving Sonnino wines on Wednesdays for the rest of October and through November. So I'm sorry again, Zoomers, that you can't be here to enjoy that treat, but those who come and join us here in the Sala Ferragamo in the library will be drinking excellent Sonnino wine for the next couple of months. And this evening, just to kick it all off, Leone Sonnino is going to take us through a wine tasting after the lecture. And you can, for those in the room, you can see the glasses and bottles waiting for that to happen. I feel really bad tonight because our friends from across the world who are joining us by Zoom are missing out on quite a treat. But however, you do get the lecture, and the lecture, I promise, is going to be fascinating. So without much further ado from me, it's my pleasure to welcome to the Institute Baroness Sonnino, who is of the family and is running the castle and the businesses there, and she's going to tell us all about it now. So Caterina, over to you.
Thank you, thank you. So good evening to everybody. I'm very proud, honored to be here. I hope my English will be fluent enough and I will not be too boring because I really am in love with the story, the history of the place and of the family that I joined by marriage. So I will try to introduce you to our world. And so welcome. Castello Sonnino, this is our motto, living history to sustain the future, because Castello Sonnino is a very preserved place. And then I'll tell you more about why is living history to sustain the future. Okay. This is the Castello with some of our vineyards. And we have 48 hectares of vineyards and 150 hectares of olive groves, wheat, and that kind of thing. But here I put it 1,000 because you see the tower. The tower was built in the 1300, and that's the beginning of the story of Castello Sonnino. And I'm sorry. I must be like this. It's okay. Okay. I'm sorry. 1,000. Why 1,000? It's a very ambitious number, but 1,000 is because the tower, the beginning of Sonnino, that we know it's with documents is from 1300, and we are in 2020, so it's not, I'm cheating a bit, but the estate, so the beginning is almost 1,000 years ago, but the land until after World War II was 1,000 hectares, the estate, with around 1,000 people living on the estate. And so I thought 1,000 was a good number to start with. Here is a document dated back 1667, I think, which is the first document we have found with a drawing telling us about the castello and the church, which still is on the property, and with a list of is a documentation of the activities of the estate. So was already organized as an agricultural estate. And this is quite important for us because with this in line with our idea of preservation and what we do with educational, which I will tell you afterwards. And this is Isaac Sonnino, which was the first of the family who bought, the one who bought the place, the estate, and on the other side you see the tower was destroyed at that time. Was only the base was left. The top was rebuilt by Sidney Sonnino, and this strange machinery on the left side was a wheel, a water wheel mill to give water to the village. So these 1,000 people had could collect the water from here when they didn't have enough water at their home in the farmhouses. This is Sydney, Baroness Sidney Sonnino. He was born in 1847 and he died in 1922. As you can see, he was Prime Minister of Italy and then he was Foreign Minister. And but very important, he was a very brilliant, and he is the reason why I decided to take care of the archives and the library and the history of Sonnino, because I found this picture and I fell in love with him. I thought he was so handsome. I said, I must do something for this gentleman who is giving us a place and on top is so beautiful, so handsome. And he was brilliant. He was enormously rich. He was very with an incredible knowledge, and he was a liberal. And I always thought it was, the man I wanted to meet, and so I decided to work around the archives. He was considered one of the fathers of the liberal party, the liberal party, I would say, in the liberal thought in Europe. He was. I think the very important thing is a mixture of cultures. His father, the one that we have seen before, was a gentleman born in Leghorn. He was Baron Isaac Sonnino. He was Jewish, was very brilliant. He traded with Egypt and he accumulated an enormous fortune. His mother, so he was a practical man, very clever. And his mother was Georgina Terry Dudley. She was English, Anglican English, and she was, I think, completely aligned with her time. She was very open-minded, and I think she was a real beginning of, I would say, the maker of the mentality that then Sonnino developed, because she was at that time, she was very, aligned with the idea of the rights, the equal rights for men and women. Okay, these are the archives which were found in the 60s by Professor Brown from Kansas University, who was an historian who was studying documents about World War I, and he knew that Sonnino was existed, but he couldn't find any paper. So he decided, he said, maybe there is a family in Italy that still owns the paper. So he came to Italy and he found by chance, it was a real discovered, big boxes of documents. There are more than 200,000 papers hidden in a little room at home. And so he started to reorganize the paper. And he fell in love with the place, and it was a marvelous place. Then the family at that time owned another marvelous place on shore on Livorno. So I think it was a fantastic opportunity. He was studying in Italy, and then he could spend the summer at the seaside, winter at the countryside. He did a marvelous work, and thanks to him, Harvard financed the publication of the papers. And so they were, in a way, saved, I must say. This is one of one of the paper important, one of the most important paper that we have at home, which is the original copy of the final paper of the Peace Congress of Versailles. On one side, I'm sorry, I mean, I don't know why it's two of the same. The other side are all of the original signature of from Wilson, Balfour, Lloyd George, and Sonnino, of course, Clemenceau, Paderewski, all the people that were at Versailles. The archives of the paper are open to the faculty and people that want to study through the Sovrintendenza. And so we own the paper, but we care for the paper. We really preserve the paper, but then we share with other people. Now this is, I made the PowerPoint, so I think I don't know. I didn't do in a brilliant way because I must go back 1 second. Sonnino, the importance of Sonnino was that he's better known for what he did as a foreign minister during World War I. But he was very important. He was Prime Minister of Italy twice, and also he was Minister of Finance and Minister of the Treasury and the Treasurer. And at his time, and what he did was really incredible because he took care of the balance, and I don't know how to say, the balance of the Italian government, Italy, come si dice il bilancio? Balance sheet of the Italian state, and he was so brilliant that he brought back to like lira was equal like gold. Good evening. So and as a liberal, he was, you must understand that he was a young. When he entered the parliament to work in as a politician, he was very young because he ended his university at 19 in Pisa. So he started with working in diplomacy, but he was not a PR man. So he decided to step back and to go to work in as a political political man. I'm sorry, sometimes I got lost, but anyhow, and he engaged many battles as a liberal. He was on the side, he went to Sicily and with Franchetti, and there they realized which was the condition of the poverty and the farmers. So from that point, he started to work in favor of detaxation, also the general votation, because he thought that the farmers were the one that were the economical engine of Italy at that time, but they didn't have the right to vote. So they couldn't take part of any decision. So he wanted them give some right to vote, for example. And this was, of course, very unpopular in the ruling class, which were the landlords. And that's why also I think Sonnino was never very popular. He was scomodo, we say in Italian. Here is Sonnino. So he would take he was taking care of the agricultural aspects from a social and economical side, and he wanted to guarantee the workers to have a better life. His farm, the one where we live, that was so big and so productive, was one of the best run estate in probably in Italy. In Tuscany, definitely yes. Was the place where he would be doing experiments, but was also the area was also his the area where you get the votes. Aspetta, come si dice questo? I don't remember. Where you when you are a politician, you need to get votes to enter in the parliament. I don't know how to say. That was sorry. I see constituency, and was in no, constituency, no. I would say he was San Casciano and Montespertoli. Here you see a picture when he's very old with the director of the farm and if you will come to visit us, you will see we still have the same benches and the same vases on the potteries on the wall. So it's quite it's quite funny to see that steel is like a world that is really untouched. On the other side is Sonnino, the one on the airplane is with one of the Lloyd the Wright brothers, and he was one of the first men that was a civil man that was able to fly, because I mean was an experiment, and then they seated him. And you can see it's really literally a chair on the airplane. So it was, I think it was also very brave. This is again the golden medal, and because of the farm, the state was doing so well, so they got all these prizes. And he did a lot. He did also when we got the Phylloxera, when all the vines had to be chopped off because we're sick in Tuscany, and then were replanted thanks to the vines taken back from the States. He had already understood it was a problem, so he had I had put it together people to study the problem. So when the Phylloxera came, he was able to help the other landlords and farmers to cope with Phylloxera. He was always very in advance, forward looking. I mean, this is and then I will go back to Sonnino. This is us. I mean, so the place was bought from by Isacco Sonnino in at the beginning of the 1800, I think in 1830, and then was not a family place, was an estate business. Mainly, and nobody was really living in except Sonnino, Sidney Sonnino, when he was depressed. He says the black fever, he calls the black fever when he was depressed. He would go escape from Roma and go to Montespertoli to heal himself. And so we arrived at Sonnino in 1987, I think, 88, 87. And because an uncle, my husband's uncle, Lodovico, gave this place to him. And And then our adventure started, because we didn't know anything about the place. We didn't know much about the winemaking process. And we took our chance to have another life. And what we found was a place that was almost closed since perhaps 80 or 90 years. And so was like, I always said, it was a treasure hunt for us to go around and finding things and discovering places. And I mean, anything we from, I mean, beautiful, from love letters to books to clothes to furnitures and whatever. But also was again, I say, is like the Sleeping Beauty, because it was like a place waiting for someone to come and take it back to life. So when we arrived there, we had to restore the place without. Our goal was always restore without destroying or taking away the soul and the spirits of the house. Ecco, this is what we found. The tower, that is the one that I told you, the beginning of everything, because it's placed on the very top of the hill of the Volterrana, which was the old road going from Florence to Volterra. And as you probably know, the Etruscans were building on the top of the hills while the Romans were building in the flat. They wanted to be fast, while the Etruscan wanted to watch, to control the territory. So we presume that the very beginning is Etruscan, but we don't have any leftover. Something, yes. But then you see there is a line here. And that's it from the point from where Sonnino rebuilt the tower. So the original part is the lower one. And then we found the courtyard, and then we found, look at the beautiful kitchen we found there, and living room. I mean, it was really a treasure hunt. And so we got really, we fell in love. At that point, we started to restore the big holes we had in the roofs. But it was really a constant discover. You see the copper in the kitchen, for example. The copper in the kitchen were hidden in a well. And someone told me, look in the well, because there is something you might like. And so, because during World War I, you probably know that the army was taking away the copper to make bullets. So the pots were destroyed and melted to make bullets. So someone didn't want to do that, and they were hidden. And we found them back, of course, black. We worked a lot, and we took back to this beautiful color. And this living room is the first room I was able to see when I arrived, because in that room was the first window that I was able to open. So the sun came in, and I found myself into this wood. And at that point, I was in love, and I decided immediately, this is the place where I want to live. This is my husband, Alessandro. So while I was working in the house, he was restoring the vineyards and the olive grove and the cellars, which are very beautiful because they are dated back to 1600. And no, 1700, sorry. And he worked a lot. And at the beginning, I remember some journalists would come and people were asking, which is your philosophy how do you produce the wine, which is your philosophy. And Alessandro, who really loved the wine, but was really at the beginning, then he became really wonderful in the wine making process. But at that time he said, you know, I want to make, I do wines as I like. And then people would say, they're a bit old fashioned, which is now very trendy, because he wanted to preserve the personality of the wine, of the terroir. And then so you used to say, so at least if I will not be brilliant in selling, I will be able to drink the wine I like. That was it. That was his philosophy, you know. And this is me, because apart of the work we do we did before, and the wine, I am a graphic designer, and I mainly do packaging for wine and food, and I was very lucky to be able to work with and for many wonderful wineries around the world. These are my children, our children, Virginia and Leone. Virginia is 31 and Leone is 28. They have been traveling and working and studying around the world. And Leone was studying at Sherborne. So he went back to the British tradition. And now they both moved back to Sonnino, because they want to help and to carry on the legacy of the state and the family and so on. So here it's a bit of, you can see this Chianti Montespertoli is the smallest Chianti DOCG of the whole big appellation, and it's one of the oldest as well. So nothing to do with the Chianti Classico. We have our own denomination. This is the description of our land. So you see that from 1000 before the people were escaping from the country after in the 60s and the 70s, and even in the 80s, now we are down to 150 hectares. So we do not have any more farmhouses with a life, economical and social life developed around the farmhouses, which was a very interesting system run by as the mezzadria. But still we are here, so that's good. This is again the house with the farm, the vineyards. We still harvest in a very traditional way, because we want to keep the highest quality in the wine process. But this Leone will tell you more afterwards. These are our working, where we work, the working cellars. So we have a bit of old style and the new style. And this is a marvelous, magical place, which I invite you all to come and visit, because these are the dryers. The dryers were one of the very focal point of the farm when was a huge estate for the preservation. Nowadays, we mainly do the Vinsanto. So we hang the grape for 4 or 5 months, and then we press the grape, and then we keep into barriques and barrels for at least 5 years. This is the space, you see, it's absolutely marvelous. I call it my Zen room, because when you go there, it's really good energy. These are our wines, which I think that I don't want to make too much spot, but it's here in the PowerPoint, so you will see and you will taste afterwards. This is we produce olive oil, but all these I will tell you why I'm talking so much about what we do. These are students because, and then it's why is our motto is living history to sustain the future, because our idea was preservation, preservation, preservation. We didn't want to transform this magical place that really literally drop from the sky into our hands. We didn't want to change it, turn it into something without, I don't know, something that was not like we found. Of course, when you own a place like Sonnino, and in Tuscany there are so many places like us, it's I mean, it's a challenge. Or you are enormously rich, otherwise you have to work like mad to try to carry on with the place. And so I didn't want to do I didn't want to go through what other places had to go through to sustain themselves. And so I got the idea to bring in educational students mainly from North America. And everybody thought I was crazy, but with the help of a friend who's here tonight, I developed the project, and I must say that nowadays it's absolutely brilliant. And the students come to us and they spend 1 month or a semester, and they really live in the farm, even if they do mainly sustainable agriculture or sustainable hospitality, but they do biodiversity or food system. And we help them with lectures, and we take them to explore Tuscany. We connect them with the village, and they have a full immersion of Italian culture. It's marvelous. And my hope was always that if we are successful, if we can be successful, perhaps it's a signal for other places to do the same, and not to become all of us hotels, and which is marvelous. But I mean, it's better if we can preserve our culture in a more, I don't know how to say, in a more authentic, thank you, Leone, in a more authentic way. We have got so much from the previous generation, and I think what we have to do is try to leave to the next generation something without destroying. And I thought that educational is a real cultural exchange and can help to preserve. These are our students in class and working in the vegetable garden. So it's a hands-on experience, and it's a real experience. These are the cellars. This is what we do. This is the aging cellar. And we have also a place where it's possible to eat and to taste the wine. And this is where the students stay, because my idea was that once the students come to have a cultural experience, you must start from the beginning. Must be really, I don't want dorms, I don't want to have shabby stuff, because I think we have a culture that is based on other things, and we have to offer to even to the students coming here, even if they are young, doesn't matter, they have to enjoy the Italian culture and experience. This is another step, yeah, because with my husband Alessandro, we always thought that we were a bit dusty in with our idea of preservation, heritage, and all that kind of concepts. But we were in love with these ideas, and we wanted to do, as I said already, we wanted to carry on the place without taking away the spirits. And finally, one day, thanks to my daughter Virginia, Gucci came to us, and they made, I don't want to make a spot on Gucci. I'm talking about a concept, a general concept. They came for shooting a campaign, I don't remember, I think in 2016, and they fell in love with what they found, this idea of authenticity and preservation and domesticity as well. So after they did a campaign, they did another one, and then they asked us to be part of a project called Gucci Places, which it includes around 10 places around the world. One is Chatsworth in England, which is the most beautiful house, I think, around the world. And then us, and as the idea that if you preserve the past, you are always contemporary, because with the memory in place, doing things, using the past, and being active, you can be forward looking. So that was, I said, if Gucci recognized this, my gosh, we must be really up to date, you know? And so it was a good message. And this is again what it's our, I would say, the words that are dear to my heart when I speak about Sonnino. This should be the end of the whole thing. I hope I haven't been too boring or too confused, but if you have any question, I'm here and pleased to answer to you. Save me,
yes,
save me.
I'll save you. So Zoom people joining us. Yeah, there they all are. So thank you very much, Caterina, for that fascinating survey of the history of the castle and the family's involvement. And as is our tradition, we will now open it for any comments or questions from people here in the room with us in Florence, or anybody on the Zoom who wants to join in. So if you're on the Zoom and want to contribute, just unmute yourself and speak, and we'll hear you. Here we are. Does anyone want to join us? No? Or otherwise, in the room, if you stick your hand up, I'll bring a microphone to you and you can ask your question. So give people a moment to think about it. Caterina, one from me. I'm really interested in what was happening in the castle between the time when Sydney stopped being depressed there and you and Alessandro arrived with determination to revive the castle. So what happened? What was it doing for 80 years?
I mean, as I said, until the 70s, the estate was working agricultural farm. I mean, and so people were working, were producing whatever they were they were producing tobacco, wheat, wines in Sevres, olive oil, and then fruit, and then milk, and then cows. Was really a microcosmos that was absolutely independent, self-sufficient microcosmos, organized with the Mazzadria. So it's a very interesting way of to organize the production. And the end. So it was okay until, let's say, the 80s, I would say. So at that point, with the 70 and the 80s, at that point with the factories and the north becoming more industrialized, people were going away, so they were abandoning the country. Now we have an incredible example of young people coming back and I mean getting involved in the agriculture as a lifestyle, like an ethical lifestyle as well. At that point was when people were running away. So it was a period of time that was almost nothing happening. And then we arrived to do what we did.
Things started to happen. So anyone in the room? We got a question here from Chris Levette.
Hi, I was just wondering, how many bottles of wine do you produce a year? Do you export much? And if so, to which countries?
Thank you for this wonderful question. I like to speak about the wine. We produce around 150,000 bottles, and we mainly export to United States, China, Switzerland, Germany, and all around Europe, I would say. Unfortunately, not in England. So if anyone has a suggestion, this was super welcome. In Japan, yeah.
So do we have anyone on the Zoom who would like to join at this point? Just unmute and say something if you'd like to. Otherwise, we've got any more in the room? Yes, at the end, Mrs. Gamble. No, they can't hear you.
Oh, hi. The traditional vendemmia, the hand picking of the grapes, we don't see it because we live in an industrial vineyards. There's a table, is it still the tradition that at the end of the vendemmia, there's a celebration and whatever, because we've seen a couple of tables which go around a tree, so they all these huge round tables with a hole in the middle.
Yeah, now that's another story. That's in stone, and those are the wheel of the oil mill, the oil. Yeah, but no, of course we do any estate, I mean, everybody who makes the vendemmia then afterwards make the big celebration is the end of the vendemmia with at least a lunch, where you end in the most terrible way because you are drunk, you have overeaten, but it's so beautiful because all the people that have been working is together, you know.
There was a frost in April, which affected a lot of vineyards in our area. Did you suffer?
For the Zoomers, the question was that in April in the Montespan area, there was a late and very serious frost, and how badly did that affect Sonnino's production?
Yeah, was a terrible, was terrible. And in some area like Montalcino, they have lost 80% of their harvest or their product. And even around us, in San Casciano was really terrible. Some areas were affected in a different way. We got affected, but we were quite lucky because the vines were at the very, the grape was really small at the very beginning. Le gemme, come si dice le gemme? where they come out at the very beginning, and they got frosted, but thanks God they do more than one, so we were able to collect the second and the third and the fourth, you know. But a Tuscan wine will be a disaster.
Another question.
Thank you, Simon. I just wondered, in terms of sustainability, are you approaching winemaking in an organic or biodynamic way?
We do not do, we have the vegetable garden, and a small micro vineyard is biodynamic because it was an experiment. We are not certified bio, I mean organic, but we work with the traditional, as many others, you know, and we don't give anything, we don't give poison. We feed the vineyards with the organic food, and we give only copper. We don't give any poison, you know. I think that, I mean, my husband was quite focused on this because you can be very, very organic in the vineyards, but once you go into the cellars, you will never know what happens out. So the idea is that you have to work with even yourself. You have to know that you don't want to give poison, and the traditional way is with no poison. I mean, if you use a brain, you don't give the poison. And
a question. We've got two more down here, but we'll take them both, and then we'll let Caterina answer. So, Rob.
I'm just interested about the history of the estate, and we were talking about the period between the end of the First World War and the 80s. During the Second World War and the occupation, did the family or the estate suffer any problems having Jewish and English heritage?
And then we'll do one other question.
So yes, I was just noticing how many different types of grape variety you have. I was just wondering how that arose, and does it also cause you a lot of trouble looking after so many different types?
Two questions, one historic about. For the Zoomers, I was just translating the question.
No, but Sonnino, so, okay, I answered the first question. Sonnino died in 1922. So during World War II, he didn't got any problem. But what we were wondering many times with my husband, as a family, the name Sonnino is Jewish, but actually to the family, no to anyone in the family happened anything during World War II. We were guessing if this was due to the fact that Sonnino was a very important political figures. I don't know. But we didn't have any of our family had a problem, member had a problem with during World War II. And to the second question, I think Leone, my son, is the best person to answer.
And then we'll do that during the wine tasting. Yeah, we'll do that during the wine tasting. So anybody, a last chance for the Zoomers. You've all been very quiet. I can see lots of regular friends up there. So if you want to speak, just unmute and off you go. If not, I'll give one last chance to the room. Anybody else burning to ask a question? If not, I will then just say before we say farewell to the Zoomers, because I'm afraid we're moving to wine tasting. Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm sorry we can't taste the wine. And please remember, if you feel like making a donation of whatever size is comfortable, it is extremely helpful to keep this program going. And thanks for your attendance. And we'll see you all next week for Mark talking about Horace Mann. So if you'll now close the Zoom conference, and we'll put more lights on, open the curtains.